Hi guys, number one Marmaduke fan here, and this is Marvel Before SJW, the series Zach said he would come back to and never will. I kind of feel like I'm really having fun because I'm reading comic books again. I'm just going a million miles an hour. I feel like I've reached the point kind of similar to where Zach did, where Zach looked back on his channel. He said he spent 2 years being stupid, trying to talk about SJWs, and what he realized is, oh, SJW stories are boring. I kind of had a similar experience to that, where I actually do want to talk. Like, I've always wanted to do like academic kind of think piece videos, but I love comic books too much, and every time I think, oh, should I sit down and read a bunch of postmodern essays? No, I want to read a comic book. I feel like we've reached the point where the point has kind of been made. Modern Marvel sucks; they don't get it, and you should just read old comic books. I think one of the oldest your boy Zach videos, where he said you could read an old comic book a day for the rest of your life for relatively cheap and never run out of them. Why would I ever want to go back to reading SJW Marvel? Maybe for the purpose of critique, maybe for the purpose of roasting them and getting that sweet YouTube algorithm, but for just genuinely enjoying a comic book, you can't go wrong with this True Believers line, usually. Or if you do go wrong, you're out $1. So what? Just this week, I watched Zach make fun of a Spider-Man Miss Marvel team-up book where they switch bodies and Spider-Man literally has cramps and experiences Islamophobia, and there's no like real conflict. Spider-Man Miss Marvel, this old school one, again, Marvel Essentials is the greatest thing ever. Like these cheap black and white books on newsprint at the library. I know I read a whole bunch of Marvel Spidey team-up Marvel Essentials books, and I think I completely forgot about this, but when I was a kid, Marvel Comics meant Spider-Man and some cool people who show up from time to time with Spider-Man. The entire Marvel universe is Spider-Man and some of his cool palsies, some of his amazing friends to me, like that 80s show. And actually, the 80s show is a good illustration of that. Spider-Man and his amazing friends introduced a new character in Iceman to a generation of kids using Spider-Man. So the theme of this is an actual team-up book with an actual plot where Miss Marvel is actually cool and Spider-Man does not have PMS. So since the point has been made over and over again that SJW Marvel sucks and Marvel Before SJW was solid, I kind of want to transition into just giving you the highlights and then getting you home before supper. So Spider-Man's fighting the Super Skrull, and he is actually funny. Aw, Skrull, I bet you say that to all the guys. After this big, long speech from the Super Skrull, I will kill you. Spider-Man's being kind of calm and cavalier in the face of death. Now, it's not like, he doesn't have to be Mark Twain. The reason it's funny is because he's in a dangerous life or death situation, and the entire fight makes clear that Super Skrull could rip Spidey's head off if he wanted. And this gets underscored here. Dog of a human, you will not escape me. I'm not really trying to, Skrully. All I'm doing is keeping you occupied until some high-powered help arrives. So the key character point of Spider-Man doing jokes in this era. This is Chris Claremont writing, by the way, and John Byrne as the artist, Dave Hunt as the inker. The point is that Spider-Man is in a life or death situation. This guy can easily rip him to shreds. He is just trying to say whatever comes to his head to stay alive a little longer, make his opponent angry, and get his opponent stupid and stall for time. That's amazing. That's an aspect of Spider-Man's courage coming out. So it's not just, oh, I read that Brian Michael Bendis book where he was saying, I totally didn't get what was going on here. The whole point of this is that he's actually using it as a strategy. It's part of his character, and it's really actually a heroic part of his character. So he's in trouble. No big bad superheroes are coming to help him. He's clearly overpowered. He kind of like realizes that the Super Skrull's powers are weak and tries to press his advantage. He kind of gets an idea of what will happen, but he still loses. Even with the Super Skrull weak, Spidey gets a bunch of stuff knocked down on him, and his neurotic sense of humor was kind of like, man, that sucks to be me. Almost kind of like a stereotypical like Jewish sense of humor, like bagging on himself, life sucks. But then he gets right back up and he goes to it. It's not, I don't know, mewling little, oh boy, I watch My Little Pony. It's Fluttershy is my favorite. Am I right? That's old by 2009 already. All right, so then the Super Skrull goes to hunt for the Super Crystal, and he meets Miss Marvel, the editor of Woman magazine. So Miss Marvel is clearly I'm not even going to say first wave feminist. She is a modern woman in the sense that she is capable, independent, commanding, and she is not a B word. She is just awesome. That's what being a modern woman, first wave feminist used to mean, is you're just cool and you work real hard and you compete with the boys on merits, not on identity politics. So she punches out the Super Skrull, but then get this, Miss Marvel's not strong enough for the Super Skrull. First round to him, that's for sure. She keeps getting distracted. She's not quite sure like how to deal with like her Kree heritage, and that's sort of like affecting her emotionally, and she's got to work that out. Did I mark something by accident? Anyway, so she and Spider-Man both get their tails kicked by the Super Skrull. Like she nearly dies, Spider-Man saves her, and there's like a little, not a feminist moment, but Spider-Man saves her, says, "Ups a daisy, pal. Hey, you're a girl? The term is woman, friend." And that's it. So yeah, he calls her a girl because he notices she's a pretty girl. She says, "I'm a woman. Don't treat me like a little kid. I'm a grown woman." That's it. She doesn't check his privilege. She isn't nasty to him. She asks to be treated with respect. Spider-Man treats her with respect, and they respect each other, and they get right to work. Now I'm going to show you a good feminist, first wave feminist story. Spidey distracts him, and they make this cool thing that Spidey has to use like the interior of the ship to his advantage because he can climb walls and stuff. So Skrull's obviously a more powerful opponent, but Spidey can use his location to his advantage. Miss Marvel, she just makes it clear that we're going to take care of the Super Skrull. I don't care if we blow up the ship. You know, all of the human race is at stake. So she's getting to be commanding and kind of military style. But her military orders make sense. I'm rooting for her because, you know, it's bad if the ship gets blown up. They're taking a calculated risk in this war, but they got to stop the Super Skrull because he's a high-level threat. Then they have this plan to trap the Skrull, and woo, male gaze, I love it. But she orders Spider-Man to leave her behind and lock her in the room with the Skrull, and Spidey doesn't want to do it because that goes contrary to his nature. And then she says, "I need you to do as you're told. Get out of here, Spidey. Seal the hatch behind you and throw the switch. It's done, lady. I only pray you know what you're doing." So she is giving Spider-Man an order, and he's following it. He's young. He's in college. He's probably not as experienced as Mr. Marvel. Well, he's a pretty experienced hero because he's been doing this since he was 15. But he takes an order because he is relying on her to know what she's doing, even though it goes against his instinct. She doesn't whine at him. She tells him what to do firmly, and he does it because that's part of the teamwork. She needed Spider-Man to lead him here. Now she's, I guess, like a stronger hero than Spider-Man, so it's easier for her to go toe to toe with the Skrull. And then we find out that it was all part of their like great plan. It all comes together, and she explains that the reason I needed you to do that is I wasn't sure if you could survive that. I was barely sure if I could survive that. So a genuine heroic moment for Miss Marvel. She didn't just punch the guy with her awesome feminist powers and then win the day and blow up the ship because she's so cool. She struggled. She worked with Spider-Man. They didn't really have like a big character moment where they said, "Oh, I totally understand you now." They just got together to beat a bad guy. That's what Marvel Team Up was all about. And sometimes there'd be a Mary Marvel misunderstanding where these two heroes would fight a bit, but then they'd figure it out and they'd go stop the bad guy. And then look, it tells you where to go to read more Miss Marvel books. It tells you what's coming up next issue. So not only was this a great comic, this was a great comic that would then say, "Oh, now I gotta go check out Miss Marvel because she had a cool adventure with my boy Spider-Man." Because Spider-Man was actually the flagship character, and he still is the flagship character. You can't force Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, to be the flagship character. She has to have so much popular appeal that you literally can have anyone appear in her book, and people will grab that up just to see Captain Marvel. It takes time to build up something like that, and not every character can be built up into something like that. This was an excellent example of kind of like the what I consider like the golden years of the Marvel age and the good old Marvel style of them building up Carol Danvers as a character by just giving her a good old guest star appearance in Spider-Man. You go read Captain Marvel if you're interested to see what the deal with the crystal is, and look, next time it's going to be Iron Fist, and you would just be introduced to like 50 every issue. You'd be introduced to a new Marvel character who's got their own little corner of the Marvel universe, their own series you can check out. There's no reason to buy new Marvel books. This is great. This was amazing. I loved it. So that's it. I'm number one Marmaduke fan. I love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell to receive notifications. I guess maybe like the lesson I learned is I don't have to harp on SJW Marvel. I'm still going to call this Marvel before SJW because Zach deserves to be roasted. But I don't think I need to harp on SJWs every video. That gets old. If I'm gonna do that, I better do like a nerdy, like in-depth research Aiden Paladin Tildeer style video where I just put together a lot of research and put that out. But comic books deserve to be fun. I don't need to let the SJWs ruin my comic books for me. Comic books are fun. I love you guys. I love comic books. I love my subscribers on Subscribestar. I love my Super Chat donators. I love you who are commenting and sharing these vids and just giving me feedback. You're all appreciated. And I will catch you later.